tried to stop their will to be, but my hope became your curse. Stop the cycle. Destroy the Leviathan. Take back tomorrow.
If you take dinosaurs and you insert them into pretty much any video game, I'm gonna be interested. And when the Exoprimal beta came out, I think a couple months ago, I played it and I enjoyed it for the most part. And it felt to me at the time like a game that would get really old really fast. So after about 45 minutes, I stopped playing it and I told myself I'd wait for the full release. And luckily, thankfully, the full release is finally here. Even though I did enjoy the beta, I didn't enjoy it enough to spend $70 on this game, but luckily it's on Xbox Game Pass and that's how I've been playing it for the last full day pretty much. And I'm about to talk about it, I'm about to discuss it, I'm about to give you guys my first impressions on Exoprimal. I'm gonna show you some raw gameplay, but before I do, you should consider subscribing. I talk about video games all the time on this channel, but more specifically, I usually talk about survival horror and just horror video games in general. But the whole month of July doesn't have many game releases and it doesn't really have any horror releases. So I had to think about a different game to talk about, and Exoprimal seemed like a good candidate. So again, I mainly talk about horror gaming, and there's a lot of horror video games that are coming out in the remainder of 2023 that I can't wait to discuss. Texas Chainsaw Massacre the game, Alan Wake 2, Alone in the Dark, just to name a couple. But besides video games, I also talk about movies and TV shows, and I do trailer reactions quite a bit. But enough talking. Let's talk about Exoprimal. So before we get too in-depth into this review, I want to once again specify that this video is more of my first impressions as opposed to an overall review. I have not beaten the game. I do not have hundreds and hundreds of hours into this game. I have about 5 to 8. But let's be honest, the first 5 hours of a video game are essentially the most important, at least in my opinion, because it's those first few hours that determine whether or not you're going to put a countless amount of hours into a game, or if you're going to stop playing it after one day. But anyway, what is Exoprimal? It's a game where you fight and you massacre and you slaughter a shit ton of dinosaurs, and you do it with a team, and your team is competing against an enemy team. Each game plays out essentially the exact same way, where you fight through about 5 waves of dinosaurs, and you're competing against the enemy team to get through those waves faster. And once you get through those 5 waves of dinosaurs, you get transported to a different map where a different objective then takes place. Usually this final objective is where you get the vast majority of the fun aspect when it comes to playing Exoprimal, because only at this very end segment is when you also fight the enemy players, and when the competition really becomes serious, I guess, but serious in quotes because this is not a serious game. And you end up doing these objectives on just a small handful of different maps, but there are a decent amount of classes. Like a lot of multiplayer games, you have your damage classes, you have your tank classes, and you have your support classes. And I played a little bit as all of the available classes from the start, and they're all, you know, distinctly different and fun to play as. But if you're like me, you're gonna find a class that you really vibe with, and then you'll end up playing that class the vast majority of the time that you play the game. And as you can tell from this gameplay, I gravitated towards the very basic bitch one, the dude with the assault rifle. But I also had a lot of fun playing as the tank, just using your fists to brutally pummel a shit ton of dinosaurs. And there is a story when it comes to Exoprimal, believe it or not, but I'm barely gonna talk about the story because let's be honest, when you sign up to play a game like Exoprimal, you're not signing up for the storyline, you're not signing up for the plot, you're not signing up for this amazing narrative and these amazing characters. You're signing up to play this game because you want to fight a shit ton of dinosaurs and you want to fight enemy players as you do so. And again, I'm not too many hours into this game, but from where I am now, the story is essentially nothing. It's just there for them to say they have a story. You get cutscenes here and there, and then you unlock the next cutscene after you play X amount of online games. And then the more games that you play, the more things things that you unlock these like little lore tidbits and so on and so forth. Again, I'm not going to talk much about the story. I wasn't really paying attention to it, but if you're interested in the story, I'm sure someone on YouTube has a video discussing the story. And who knows, maybe it would be interesting to you, but for me personally, not interesting, not in the slightest. But Exoprimal is a very, very simple game, but I'm not going to lie to you, it's fun, but it's cheap fun. I liked playing through all the classes. I liked playing as tanks and healers and damage. I liked fighting all the different types of dinosaurs. I liked playing as a dinosaur, and I really enjoyed competing against the enemy team. Not all games were super competitive, but every now and then your team and the other enemy team would be competitive, and it would make the game that much more tense, that much more fun. But that's probably, you know, 1 in every 5 games played, at least in my experience. But what Exoprimal lacks is a sense of accomplishment. Because every time that I kill an enemy player, every time that my team wins, I don't really feel fulfilled. This is a competitive multiplayer game, but that doesn't really seem to be the draw of this game, at least not for me. The draw of this game was just turning my brain off, shooting grenade launchers, shooting guns, and just seeing a crazy amount of dinosaurs on screen at once. And that's something that I think this game does really, really well. There is a lot happening on screen at once. There's waves upon waves upon waves of just endless dinosaurs coming at you. You have 5 other teammates on your team, and you have enemy players that you see at the same time. All those dinosaurs, all those guns going off, all those explosions happening, all those numbers popping up at the same time, and this game runs smooth as molasses. I'm genuinely surprised at how well this game performs and how well this game runs, at least in my opinion. It didn't lag once, it didn't stutter once, it didn't kick me out of a game, not once. But I'm gonna be honest with you, like I mentioned earlier, I did play the beta for this game, and I played the beta for about 45 minutes, and in that 45 minutes, I feel like I got to experience everything that this game had to offer in terms of the fun factor. I definitely can't recommend that you buy this game for $70. Look, if you think it's fun, if you played the beta and you think you'll get $70 worth of entertainment from this game, go for it. If you're on the Xbox and you have Xbox Game Pass, try it out. And then if you think it's worth it, buy it then. But for me personally, this game just is way too lackluster to warrant a $70 price tag. There's no way this game is worth as much as a game like Elden Ring or The Last of Us Part 2 or the upcoming Spider-Man 2 game or Starfield. Honestly, I would consider buying a physical copy of this game if it sold for, you know, $39.99, which is what I think this game is worth. But I honestly can't see myself playing this game much longer. Once I'm done with this video, once I'm done recording footage, I really, really don't think I'm gonna feel the need to load this game up and get any more of that Exoprimal fix. It was worth it for the time that I played it. It was fun. I'll look back on these, you know, few hours fondly, but I can't see myself wanting to do this anymore. But anyway, that's my brief and quick thoughts after playing Exoprimal for the better part of a day. Have you played it, or do you plan to play it? Let me know in the comments, and once again, consider subscribing. I talk about video games all the time, but I also talk about TV shows, I do trailer reactions, I talk about movies every now and then. Thank you for watching, especially if you watched this far.